What if the most powerful statements a man can make are the ones he chooses not to say? In a world saturated with noise, what if true value and influence are forged not in speech, but in the profound, deliberate silence of thought that precedes it? This is the lost art we will rediscover together. High-value men think before they speak. Compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. The power of reflection. Imagine your mind is a deep, clear lake, nestled high in the mountains. On a calm day, its surface is like a flawless mirror, perfectly reflecting the vastness of the sky, the steadfastness of the mountains, and the truth of the world as it is. But when the winds of impulse and reaction blow, the lake's surface becomes turbulent and choppy, reflecting nothing but its own chaos. The inner conflict for every man is the struggle between the still, reflective lake and the churning, reactive water. Our modern world is a relentless storm, encouraging and rewarding instant reaction. We are conditioned to respond to emails in seconds, to have a hot take on every news story, to fill every conversational silence, and to live on the turbulent surface of our own minds. The painful problem with this state of constant reactivity is that it leads to a shallow and chaotic existence. When we speak and act without reflection, our words are often misguided, our actions are impulsive, and our lives lack depth. We make mistakes we later regret. We misunderstand others because we never truly listen, and we project our own inner turmoil onto the world, creating more conflict and confusion. We live like the choppy lake, unable to see the sky for our own waves, feeling a deep but unspoken sense of being out of control. The transformative solution is to embrace the foundational Stoic practice of creating a sacred space of silence and reflection between the world's stimulus and your response. It is the art of intentionally calming the waters so that you can see clearly. The core idea is that the quality of your output, your words, your actions, your decisions, is entirely dependent on the quality of your thought. A cluttered, reactive mind will always produce cluttered, reactive results. A clear, reflective mind will produce clear, deliberate results. The Stoics understood that wisdom is not an innate gift, but the product of diligent self-examination. The philosopher Seneca famously practiced a rigorous evening review, putting his entire day on trial not to punish himself, but to understand himself. He knew that a day unexamined is a day unlearned. The benefit of cultivating this reflective habit is profound. You begin to move through the world with a new sense of calm and intention. You make fewer unforced errors in your relationships and your career. You develop a reputation for being thoughtful and wise, a man whose words have weight precisely because they are rare and well considered. The actionable step to cultivate this power is to create a non-negotiable daily reflection practice. This can take two forms. First, the micro-pause. Throughout your day, before responding to a significant email, before entering a difficult conversation, or before making an important decision, take just 60 seconds of silence. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and ask yourself, what is the wise and virtuous path here? Second, the macro review. At the end of your day, as Seneca did, spend 5 minutes in a journal answering 3 questions. 1. What did I do well today according to my values? 2. Where did I fall short? 3. What can I learn from this to improve tomorrow? By consistently engaging in these practices, you are training your mind to default to reflection instead of reaction. You are proving to yourself that you are the master of your own mind, not a slave to its every impulse. The turbulent waters will begin to calm, and you will experience the deep peace and clarity that comes from a still mind. Your life will begin to reflect not the chaos of the world, but the order you have cultivated within. I urge you to begin this process tonight. See it not as another task to complete, but as a sacred appointment with the wisest part of yourself, a continuous process of growth. Reflection gives us the space to think clearly. But what do we do with the powerful emotions that so often cloud that space? Our next lesson delves into the crucial skill of mastering emotional control. Before we continue, please subscribe to the Stoic Power channel to join a community of men dedicated to the art of deep thinking and wise living. Lesson 2. Mastering emotional control. Picture a fire. The first kind is a wildfire raging through a dry forest. It is sparked by a single, careless event, and it consumes everything in its path with terrifying, indiscriminate power. It is chaotic, destructive, and ultimately leaves the landscape barren. The second kind of fire is a hearth fire, contained within a well-built fireplace. It is deliberately kindled and carefully tended. It does not rage out of control. Instead, it provides consistent warmth, life-giving light, and a center for the home. The inner conflict for every man is to choose whether his emotional life will be a destructive wildfire or a life-giving hearth fire. The painful problem is that many of us live at the mercy of our emotional wildfires. A spark of perceived disrespect, a flicker of anxiety about the future, or a hot coal of past resentment can ignite a blaze of anger or fear that consumes our reason. When we are in the grip of this emotional fire, we say and do things that are destructive. We burn bridges with loved ones, scorch our professional reputations, and leave a trail of regret in our wake. Afterward, standing in the emotional ash, we feel shame and a sense of powerlessness, wondering why we let the fire get out of control again. The transformative solution is to become the master of your own inner fire, embracing the Stoic discipline of treating your emotions not as uncontrollable forces of nature, but as signals that require wise management. The core idea is that you are not your emotions, you are the consciousness that experiences them. A feeling, no matter how powerful, is just a piece of information. The Stoics taught that it is not the initial spark, the external event that creates the wildfire, but our own ascent to it. It is the act of pouring the gasoline of our own panic judgments onto that initial spark. For example, the spark is someone cut me off in traffic. The gasoline is the judgment. That person has disrespected me. This is an outrage. I must retaliate. It is this secondary act of judgment that we have complete control over. The benefit of mastering this is that you become the calm firefighter of your own mind. You can feel the heat of anger without letting it burn down your house. You can acknowledge the smoke of anxiety without letting it blind you. You become a safe, stable presence for yourself and for others, a man whose inner hearth provides warmth, not destruction. Your peace of mind becomes invulnerable, protected by your own wisdom. The actionable step to become this master is to practice the acknowledge and analyze technique. When you feel a strong negative emotion beginning to ignite, instead of reacting, perform a two-step mental maneuver. First, acknowledge the feeling without judgment, as if you are a scientist observing a phenomenon. This is the feeling of anger arising. The simple act of naming it creates a space between you and the emotion. Second, analyze the spark. Ask yourself, what specific thought or judgment is fueling this fire? Is this judgment true? Is it within my control? Is acting on this fire the wisest course of action? By practicing this consistently, you cut the fuel line to the wildfire. The initial spark still happens. You are a human, not a stone, but it no longer automatically erupts into a destructive blaze. You will feel the emotion, honor its message, and then choose a calm, rational response. The respect you will gain from others, and more importantly, from yourself, will be immense. I challenge you this week to become the firefighter. When you feel the heat rising, don't pour gasoline on it. Acknowledge and analyze. See this as a continuous training drill for your emotional first responders. Mastering our emotions is crucial, but this requires a mind that is strong and disciplined enough to do the work. How do we forge such a mind? Our next lesson is on the art of building mental discipline. If you believe in the importance of emotional mastery, please like this video to help spread this essential wisdom. Lesson 3. Building mental discipline. Imagine a master sculptor standing before a massive, shapeless block of marble. To the untrained eye, it is just a rock. But the sculptor sees, hidden within the stone, the potential for a masterpiece. His work is not about adding anything to the marble, but about chipping away the excess, the imperfections, and the superfluous material with discipline and precision, until only the essential, beautiful form remains. Your mind, in its raw state, is like that block of marble. It has immense potential, but it is also filled with excess mental clutter, distracting impulses, and unproductive habits. The inner conflict is the choice between leaving the marble untouched, a formless rock subject to the erosion of time, or picking up the chisel and hammer of discipline to intentionally sculpt it into a work of art. The painful problem is that we live in an age of unprecedented distraction. Our attention is the commodity being mined by 1,000 different apps, notifications, and streams of information. This creates a scattered, unfocused mind that flits from one thing to the next, unable to engage in deep thought. This lack of mental discipline is not just about productivity. It directly impacts our speech. An undisciplined mind leads to undisciplined words, impulsive, shallow, and often unnecessary. We speak without thinking because we are not practiced in the art of thinking itself. The transformative solution is to embrace the role of the sculptor and to begin the deliberate daily work of training your mind, chipping away at distraction to cultivate a state of clear, focused attention. The core idea is that mental discipline is not a personality trait you are born with. It is a muscle that you build through consistent training. The Stoics saw the mind, or the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty, as the most important thing to train. They understood that a disciplined mind, one that can focus its attention where it chooses, is the prerequisite for living a wise, effective, and tranquil life. Willpower is a finite resource that comes and goes, but systems and habits of discipline are enduring. The benefit of this training is that you become the master of your own attention. You develop the ability to think deeply, to listen intently, and to work with focus. This clarity of mind naturally leads to clarity and precision of speech. You stop speaking impulsively because your mind is no longer an impulsive, scattered place. The peace and confidence that come from having a well-ordered mind are immeasurable. The actionable step to begin your sculpting is to practice intentional single-tasking. Our brains are not designed for multitasking. They are designed for deep focus. For a set period each day, choose one and only one task to work on. It could be for just 25 minutes. During that time, turn off your phone, close all other tabs on your computer, and eliminate all possible distractions. Your entire goal is to keep your attention on that single task. When your mind wanders, which it will, your job is to gently and firmly bring it back, again and again. Each time you bring your focus back to the task at hand, you are performing one repetition with the chisel. You are strengthening your attentional muscle. This practice, over time, will fundamentally change the texture of your mind. It will become less chaotic and more ordered. You will find that you can think more clearly, which will directly translate into speaking more thoughtfully. I urge you to schedule your first single-tasking session tomorrow. Start with just 15 or 20 minutes. See this not as a productivity hack, but as the fundamental work of sculpting your own mind. As you develop a more disciplined mind, you may find that you have less to say. What is the power in that? Our next lesson explores the profound and often misunderstood art of silence. To support our work in creating focused, in-depth content like this, please consider sharing this video with a friend who might also be looking to escape the culture of distraction. Lesson 4. The Art of Silence. Picture two sources of water. The first is a shallow, babbling brook. It is constantly moving, noisy, and splashing over every small rock, its chatter filling the air. Because it is always in motion and giving away its contents, it remains shallow. The second is a deep well. It is silent, still, and seemingly inactive, but its silence is a sign not of emptiness, but of depth and reserved power. The brook is heard by all, but the well is what sustains life during a drought. The inner conflict for a man seeking value is whether to be the noisy brook or the silent well. Our society champions the brook. It mistakes speaking for knowledge and extroversion for confidence. We feel an immense pressure to have an opinion on everything, to contribute to every conversation, to fill every pause with noise, lest we appear unintelligent or uninteresting. The painful problem with this compulsive need to speak is that it often reveals our insecurities and our ignorance. When we speak just to be heard, we often say things that are foolish, unnecessary, or ill-considered. We betray our own lack of deep thought and expose our nervousness. Furthermore, a man who is always talking is never truly listening. He is so focused on formulating his next sentence that he fails to understand the person in front of him, missing crucial information and opportunities for connection. His constant noise keeps him shallow. The transformative solution is to embrace silence, not as an absence, but as a presence. It is to learn that in many situations, silence is the most powerful, intelligent, and confident response. It is to choose to be the deep, silent well. The core idea is rooted in the wisdom of philosophers like Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, who famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say." A high-value man understands that his power does not come from dominating a conversation, but from understanding it. Silence is the space required for true listening and deep reflection. It is not an empty void, but a fertile ground where wisdom can grow. The benefit of mastering silence is immense. When you're comfortable with silence, people perceive you as confident and self-assured, not needy or anxious. When you speak less, your words carry more weight and impact. You develop a reputation as a man who only speaks when he has something of value to say. Most importantly, you become a masterful observer of human nature because you are finally truly listening to what is being said and what is not being said. The actionable step to cultivate this art is to practice intentional pausing in your conversations. Make a commitment that for one day, in every conversation, you will do 2 things. First, you will let the other person finish their thought completely without interrupting. Second, when they have finished, you will take a full, silent 2-second breath before you begin to speak. This pause will feel long and perhaps uncomfortable at first, but it is a powerful training exercise. This 2-second pause serves as a gateway. It gives you a moment to truly absorb what was said and to consciously decide if a response is necessary, and if so, what the wisest response would be. You will be amazed at how often you realize that nothing needs to be said at all. Your conversations will become less about performing and more about connecting. I challenge you to try the intentional pause tomorrow. See it as a form of respect for both the other person and for the value of your own words. Silence gives us the power to listen and observe. This naturally leads to a greater understanding of how our words affect the world around us. Our next lesson is on understanding your influence. Please comment below and share your thoughts on the power of silence in a noisy world. Your insights are valuable to our community. Lesson 5. Understanding your influence. Imagine dropping a single, small stone into the center of a large, perfectly still pond. The initial splash is small and localized, but from that single point of impact, ripples begin to spread outward, growing wider and wider until they touch every single shore. The stone is long gone, but its influence, its ripple effect, continues long after the initial act. Your words are stones, and the lives of the people around you are the pond. The inner conflict we face is a form of thoughtlessness. We often throw our verbal stones, our comments, our jokes, our advice, our criticisms, without any consideration for the ripples they will create. The painful problem is that this carelessness causes real harm. A thoughtless, critical comment intended as a minor joke can create a ripple of self-doubt in someone that lasts for years. A piece of casual gossip can create ripples that damage a person's reputation and relationships. A dismissive remark can create a ripple that extinguishes the spark of someone's creative idea. We speak carelessly because we are focused only on our own intention in the moment, and we remain blissfully or willfully ignorant of the lasting impact our words have on the inner worlds of others. This is a failure of character and a source of negative influence in the world. The transformative solution is to take radical responsibility for your words, to embrace the Stoic understanding that you are the sole author of your speech and therefore morally responsible for its foreseeable effects. It is to become a man who chooses his stones with wisdom and care. The core idea is that one of the highest Stoic virtues is justice, which extends far beyond legal matters into our social duties to one another as members of the human community. A primary way we fulfill or fail to fulfill this duty is through our speech. A man of high value understands that his words are not just sounds, They are tools that can build up or tear down. His speech is not a monologue for self-gratification. It is a contribution to the shared ecosystem of his family, his workplace, and his community. The benefit of this heightened awareness is that you become a powerful positive force in the lives of those around you. You become a source of encouragement, clarity, and trust. People know that your words are considered and safe. The respect you earn from this is deep and authentic because it is based on the security and value you bring to others. You stop being a source of negative ripples and start creating positive ones. The actionable step to cultivate this understanding is to adopt the 3 gates filter before you speak. Before making a comment, especially about another person, quickly pass it through 3 mental gates. The first gate asks, is it true? Am I certain of the facts, or am I repeating a rumor or an assumption? The second gate asks, is it kind? Or if kindness doesn't apply, is it just? What is my motivation for saying this? Is it to help, or is it to harm, elevate myself, or simply make noise? The third gate asks, is it necessary? Does this need to be said by me right now? Passing your speech through these 3 gates will eliminate the vast majority of harmful, useless, and low-value communication. It forces a moment of reflection on the impact of your words. You will speak far less, but everything you say will have more weight, more value, and more positive influence. I urge you to practice using the 3 gates on your communication for 1 full day. Be the gatekeeper. Be the man who is conscious of the ripples he creates. Understanding our influence gives us a sense of responsibility. But how do we ensure our well-chosen words are aligned with a larger goal? Our next lesson is on the crucial skill of thinking with purpose. Please subscribe to Stoic Power to continue this journey of becoming a man of positive and powerful influence. Lesson 6. Thinking with purpose. Imagine an archer standing in a field. The first archer simply pulls back his bow and lets arrows fly in every direction. He is active, he's expending energy, and he is making a lot of motion, but his actions are aimless. His arrows land nowhere of consequence. The second archer has a specific target. Before he even draws the bow, his mind is fixed on that single point. He plants his feet, controls his breath, and aligns every part of his being, his eye, his arm, his mind, with that target. Every single movement, from drawing the string to releasing the arrow, has a clear and unifying purpose. The inner conflict many of us face is that we engage in conversation like the first archer. We speak without a clear intention. We talk just to fill space, to hear our own voice, to dominate the conversation, to signal our intelligence, or simply out of nervousness. Our words are like arrows shot at random. The painful problem with this aimless speech is that it is ineffective and often counterproductive. If you don't know the purpose of your communication, you are almost certain to miss the mark. You may end up confusing people when you meant to clarify, alienating them when you meant to connect, or escalating a conflict when you meant to resolve it. This leads to immense frustration, wasted time, and the feeling that you are not being heard or understood, all because you never defined what you were trying to achieve in the first place. The transformative solution is to become the second archer, to pause and define the purpose of your communication before you ever open your mouth. The core idea is that our speech, like all our actions, should be guided by reason and serve our overarching purpose in life, which for a Stoic is to live with virtue. Therefore, every significant act of communication should have a clear, virtuous intention behind it. Are you trying to get to the truth? Are you trying to support a friend? Are you trying to solve a problem collaboratively? Are you trying to set a clear boundary? Knowing your why is the most critical and often overlooked element of effective communication. The benefit is a dramatic increase in your personal effectiveness and a decrease in unnecessary conflict. When you know your purpose, you can choose your words with precision. You stay on topic. You listen for the things that are relevant to your purpose. You become a person who gets things done with their words, who resolves conflicts, and who brings clarity to confusing situations. People will seek you out for your ability to cut through the noise. The actionable step is to practice the purpose check. Before you enter any important conversation, A meeting at work, a discussion with your partner, a talk with your children. Take 30 seconds to ask yourself, what is my primary virtuous objective here? Write it down if you need to. Is it to clearly explain my position without anger? Is it to fully understand their perspective before I share my own? Is it to offer support and encouragement? Having this purpose in the front of your mind acts as your target. During the conversation, if you feel yourself getting pulled off track or becoming emotional, you can mentally refer back to your purpose to recenter yourself. This practice will transform you from a reactive talker into a purposeful communicator. Your words will become your tools, not your masters. I challenge you to set a clear purpose for your next important conversation. Write it down and keep it in front of you. Witness how it changes the dynamic. Having a purpose is essential, but the ultimate measure of a man is whether his purposeful words align with his actions. This brings us to our final and most important lesson: speaking with integrity. If you found this lesson valuable, please comment below on how thinking with purpose could change your conversations. Lesson 7: Speaking with integrity. Imagine a master architect designing a tall, beautiful building. The most important part of the entire structure is the foundation and the internal frame. If the frame is perfectly aligned, plumb, and true, the building will be strong, stable, and enduring. It can withstand storms and the test of time. But if the frame is crooked, if the measurements are fudged, if cheap materials are used where strong ones are needed, the beautiful facade will eventually crack. And the entire structure will be fundamentally unsound and unsafe. A man's integrity is the internal frame of his character. His words are the visible structure he builds upon that frame. The final inner conflict is the constant temptation to build a crooked frame, to say one thing and do another, to make promises we have no intention of keeping, to present a facade to the world that does not match our inner reality. The painful problem is that a lack of integrity is the ultimate corrosive acid for self-respect. When your words and actions are not aligned, you create a fracture within your own soul. You cannot trust yourself because you know you are a liar. And if you cannot trust yourself, you will live in a state of deep inner insecurity. Furthermore, others will eventually sense this misalignment. Trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult to repair. A man without integrity, no matter how charming or successful, will never command deep, lasting respect because he is seen for what he is, an unstable structure. The transformative solution is the unwavering commitment to making your word your bond, to forging a perfect alignment between your thoughts, your words, and your actions. The core idea is that integrity is the final and most important expression of all the other lessons combined. It requires reflection, emotional control, discipline, and a clear purpose. For the Stoics, a person of integrity is someone whose inner self, their character and values, and outer self, their speech and deeds, are one and the same. There is no gap. This state of congruence is the very definition of a virtuous and well-lived life. The benefit is the most valuable asset a man can possess, a reputation for absolute reliability and trustworthiness. When people know that your yes means yes and your no means no, you gain a level of influence that cannot be bought. But even more importantly, you gain unshakable self-respect. You can look yourself in the mirror and know that you are a man of substance, a man whose frame is true. This is the source of the deepest, most resilient confidence. The actionable step is to make a simple but powerful integrity pledge to yourself. Start small to build the muscle. For 1 week, pledge to be impeccable with your word in one specific area. For example, this week, every time I say I will do something by a certain time, like sending an email or making a call, I will do it without fail or renegotiate the commitment ahead of time. Track your success. The goal is to prove to yourself that you can trust your own words. By starting with these small promises and building from there, you are meticulously constructing a true and solid inner frame. You are becoming a man of integrity, one promise at a time. The confidence and respect this will generate, both internally and externally, will be monumental. This is the ultimate goal of thinking before you speak, to ensure that the words you finally choose to release into the world are a true and reliable reflection of the high-value character you have so diligently built within. Begin today. Make one small promise to yourself or someone else, and then keep it, no matter what. This is the path of integrity. We have journeyed through the 7 disciplines that separate shallow talk from valuable speech, from the silence of reflection to the final, unbreakable alignment of integrity. The path of the high-value man teaches us that the words we speak are merely the final harvest of a field we've either diligently cultivated or carelessly ignored. True respect is commanded not by what we say, but by the quality of the thought and character that lies behind it. Thank you for your time and for investing in the profound art of thinking well. If this video has served you on your path, please like, comment with your greatest takeaway, and subscribe to the Stoic Power channel for more wisdom on building a life of substance and integrity.